Alright, I am back with another Genshin Impact video, which makes this my second one. I am going to do a child build at some point, and yet that is not what I want to talk about here today. Rather, I kind of wanted to address an issue that I hear come up a lot when I talk about Genshin Impact, other than the usual, oh, it's a dumb anime game, that thing. I don't have time to dissect all that. If you've been following me at all, either here or mostly my articles, you'll know that I think it's a lot more than that. I made the bold claim that if it was not a gacha-focused game, it would actually be potentially better than Breath of the Wild because of its various kind of game mechanics and its surprisingly engaging story and things like that. But one pushback I hear a lot is that since this game is like 4 months old at this point, and it is very much a live service game where new characters keep being introduced and you kind of are encouraged to log in daily and play, and people have gotten up to some pretty high levels. I am adventure rank 51, and I have a team that is pretty deep at this point, not as much as some people, but I have a lot. I have like 3 max level characters and a bunch of people at 80, and I have pretty much every character you can get minus some of the featured 5 stars. I do have all the 4 stars at this point, but I think people are kind of not really understanding what type of game Genshin Impact is, fundamentally. It is a game that requires you to kind of keep up with things to a certain extent, but requires is kind of a loose term here. And one of the things that drew me to Genshin Impact over, a lot of similar games or over other gacha games, which I've never really even considered playing before, because that's just never really appealed to me, outside of my occasional dabbles in loot boxes and Hearthstone cards and things like that, is the fact that so much of it, and most of the best stuff, honestly, is available for free. And when I can't really go back and rerun these quests to show you, but when you first sign up to Genshin, there is a very, very kind of lengthy main story quest that can easily last you, I think it's, maybe 10 to 15 hours of gameplay, which doesn't matter when you start it, doesn't matter what level you are, nothing like that. So it's very unlike most games in that you can kind of just follow along with the story at your leisure. And when they do introduce new story components, it's not exactly a requirement that you're have caught up already or that you're ready for this brand new thing. There is an exception in that sometimes they will encourage you to get a higher adventure rank for some of the individual character story quests. I think some of the new story quests are appearing at about adventure rank 40, 44, or somewhere around there. But the main story quests, like the history of kind of the base storyline where you are trying to find your lost brother or sister, depending on the main character you pick. That is this character. You can name them whatever you want. Whoever you don't pick is going to be the one that's kind of been lost somewhere in the game, and you are trying to locate them. Good sound effects. Thank you. You will be getting not this many characters to start with, but the game does at least give you kind of a starter kit of diverse characters. Amber, the Fire Archer, Lisa, the Electro Mage, Kaya, the Frozen Sword Dude, and then your main character has a special ability to switch between different elemental powers, and they're the only one that can do that. So right now there's 2 zones, and you can be you can have Wind Nemo powers, or you can have Geo Rock powers. And as more zones are added, that is going to be something that increases to probably 7 elements total. As you can see, this is a massive game. And you will start out with pretty much this whole map blacked out, and like let me be clear, like none of this is off limits to free players or anything. Like all of this is available for free. It's a sprawling map. They've already added this whole new area to it. They are probably going to start adding stuff over here as we get to new zones. I don't even know what the full I can't zoom out past that, but they're going to keep expanding it, and just that alone, between exploration and story, is enough to keep you busy for at least 15 to 20 hours. You want to kind of discover all the points of interest. You will run into a number of side quests along the way that require you to, get off the main quest line, but it doesn't require you to be a certain level. How the game handles difficulty and like leveling and scaling and things like that is it has a world tier system, like the Division, where as you rank up, yeah, all right, so I'm world level 7, so you'll obviously start at 1, and then the higher you get at adventure rank, eventually you'll hit a point, it's like every 5 to 10 levels depending, where it will give you, either it'll automatically upgrade your world level, and all the enemies will just kind of get, beefier, and they'll drop more loot and things like that. Encounters will start dropping more materials, things like that. And sometimes you will have to like kind of prove that you're ready for it, in that you will be asked to complete a certain dungeon where it has, the next level of characters. If you can clear that, which is usually pretty easy if you've gotten to that point, it'll upgrade you to the next world tier. So one of the main points I'm trying to make here is that Genshin Impact doesn't really have you competing against anyone except yourself, really. And I think that's where kind of the disconnect comes in, where a game like Destiny, okay, like you want to run the raid, like you're haven't played in 3 seasons, your characters are all like minimum power level, and you have to get 300 power in this short amount of time to feel like you're able to catch up and run kind of the newest title of content. That's just not how Genshin Impact works. You will be able to jump into pretty much any story component, any event, like limited time event that comes up, pretty much automatically. So you ask, what is the deal with leveling? Why would you do this? It's kind of a tier system. So the reason being is like you're just competing against yourself. So when you have your team, and this is my main squad here, this is kind of your goal. You're just trying to build out a roster of characters that you like. It is true, some of these characters that are here, like you just won't be able to get. Child Tartaglia was a limited time offering. Venti was. These characters will come back eventually, but there are a lot of featured 5-stars that will not return. Poor Jean, stuck at level 1. It's not true of all 5-stars. Jean, Chi-Chi, Kaching, and I think Diluc are all kind of permanently in the pool. And so your first goal is to kind of get your squad together and start leveling them up. The 4 starters you get are pretty okay at that, with the exception of poor Amber, who is still the worst character in the game, even though her design is very cool, but she's just terrible and they have not buffed her yet. So you'll be leveling them up as you go. Like you'll be competing, you'll complete the story campaign, and then you'll start realizing like different things you want to start pursuing, just in terms of making your team stronger. And that might be collecting weapons. So you will get a lot of garbage weapons, but it's just kind of like any loot-based game where you will start trying to upgrade your weapons to higher rarities. And within this, they all have individual levels, so you will rank up the weapon to increase its damage. There are artifacts, where this is pretty much just like armor, and you will combine them for set bonuses. That's not one that has a set bonus. If you're, getting the right pieces together, and you may start probably with just total, garbage artifacts that are low rarity and, not great, but over time you will be able to do these domains on the map, which are kind of individualized dungeons where are the ones that give artifacts?
This is pushing it.
They're individualized dungeons that will get artifacts, and then the higher level you get, this is part of the reason why you want to ascend through world tiers, is you'll get, crappy ones and then better ones. And then, oh look, now there's legendary ones. And so this is, where I'm currently farming. But there's something to do at each of these tiers, kind of no matter what level you're at. And, the thing about Genshin Impact is it's a gacha game, so it wants you to spend money. You will earn a lot of Primo Gems naturally, like this is how you pull new characters. There are upcoming events where you will be able to get free characters. That's coming. You'll get at least like 1 free 4-star. Even if you don't want to spend any money, chances are that you will just through sheer, luck, just using whatever banner you can, you will be getting 4-star characters, 4-star weapons, which are, perfectly acceptable for all the content in the game. There's some people, like, just to prove a point, that are, trying to beat the game with only the original, 4 characters that you get, just to prove that you can take these guys to 90. Like, you can upgrade them significantly. Any character you have you can upgrade their talents. You can, if you get copies of them, it unlocks new potential for different powers they get. So any character can be leveled up to be fairly strong if you invest enough time into them and you know what you're doing in terms of how the game works and all the different elemental interactions. But as you can see, like, there are plenty of characters that are 4-star characters that I believe are fully worth investing in and that I have put a lot of time and resources into, other than just the 5 stars I've gotten. And with enough time and earning enough of the currency, you will probably pull your own 5-star eventually. And there are very few actually bad 5 stars, so it's kind of hard to go wrong with that. Obviously, there are motivations to get you to catch up to other people, and this is where these sort of, is Genshin Impact pay to win question comes up, where, again, you have to define winning, because this is a game that is very much single player. Wow, I'm getting rocked by this axe. Very much single player. And so other than when you're matchmaking for these, high-level dungeons or bosses, like, it is almost exclusively single player, so you're only really being measured against yourself. Again, this is not like Destiny where you need to be some minimum level to run some new piece of content. It just isn't like that at all. But the game admittedly gives you a bazillion shortcuts to catch up and, get to where old players who have been playing a while need to be. And part of that is due to the Resin System. This is probably the most annoying thing about the game, where it's a recharging energy meter that takes a very long time. I think it's 8 minutes per energy, so this is going to take me 15 more hours to get it fully charged. And this is how you run things like domains for materials to upgrade your artifacts or your weapons. That's not a weapon one. That's not a weapon one either. This is a talent one, so upgrade your talents and upgrade your weapons and fight different bosses who have all sorts of prizes, because that takes energy too. So it is true that you will be, quote, behind existing players who have been doing this the whole time and doing daily kind of login quests that help you increase your adventure rank. And yet, it's not a race. Like, you could totally treat this like a single player game where, you haven't, it's like saying, like, I'm starting Assassin's Creed Valhalla tomorrow, but, it feels bad because other people have already beaten it and have, like, level 50 Viking or something that you don't have. Like, it's not that type of game. And the activities that you do with other players, you can just matchmake at your level, and it will only match you with people that are somewhat similar to your level. So there's really no downside in even doing the matchmade activities at your level. Again, the exception to this is some, higher level story quests. Those aren't, like, terribly difficult. It's just to unlock them, it wants you to have invested in the game for a long time to get your adventure rank up. And then there is an activity that is kind of like the, quote, end game, which is the Spiral Abyss, which is sort of a gauntlet type event, and it's pretty much the hardest thing in the game you can do right now, because you'll get to level 100 enemies, in the final stages, and it's not even possible to get your characters to level 100 yet. But, like, you don't have to worry about stuff like that. And it's kind of just, you make your own goals at a certain point. Your original goals are to get a team together, to pull maybe 1 or 2 characters if you get lucky. And then your goal is to get through the story quests and then just start upgrading them. And you can just kind of, what I found is, like, you find a character you like, you pick them, and then you just invest in them. So as I made my Kaching video before, like, I took her all the way up, I gave her my best weapon, I've given her a full legendary max level armor set. I've gotten 3 copies of her, so her constellation is good. I have upgraded her talents, like, pretty much as I'm able to with my current resources, because I'm running out of stuff now. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm done with Kaching for now. Like, this is all I can really do. So you kind of just, after that, you're like, all right, I'm going to find a new project. Like, I have heard that, Noelle is a really good Geo character, and I don't have a good Geo character and no truly amazing Claymore characters. And oh, look, like, I've pulled her so many times that I have all of her abilities unlocked. So I make it my goal now to farm XP for her, to farm, a good weapon for her, to upgrade her talents, which are currently not upgraded at all because I haven't used her. She's still level 1. So that's like my current goal.
Work-life
My
balance,
current goal is to get
think this
Zhao,
is
the next
pushing
5-star character, but that is going to require some luck, and I cannot bank on that. The point is like, once you get past the main story, like if you want to just disconnect until there's more story stuff to come, that is totally on you. But there's just, you can kind of endlessly make your own goals, and you can play this for 10 minutes a day to do the daily kind of login quests, and then just move on until there's a substantive new addition to the game. Or you can, and then you can spend all your energy for the day. You can, refill it if you want. You are gifted some of these, materials that will let you refill your energy over and over as you play. And then you can just farm for materials, because if you want to upgrade certain characters, you're going to require both things that you have to collect, like out in the wild, that are kind of like natural resources, and you're going to require, killing enemies, which is something you really can't pay your way through. You're going to require, I need to collect this for Zhao. Different things that enemies drop. So, once you figure out where they spawn, every day you can come and farm, a certain cycle of enemies, and you're never going to run out of enemies. But before you even get there, there is just a ton of story stuff to get through that is all free and is not tied to gacha stuff. And in terms of, yes, you can pay for literally anything in this game, XP, the equivalent of essential materials if you're just buying energy refills, buying a million chances to get good characters, and yet the game is balanced enough where you just never feel like it is absolutely mandatory. Like, I enjoy my characters I've gotten. I've obviously spent some amount of money on this game, which I feel is justified given how much time I've spent with it. And yet, like, I've never felt wholly obligated to it, and there are plenty of people doing entirely free-to-play playthroughs that end up with really cool characters, really fun builds. They might not have as many, level 80 and 90 characters and weapons as me, but again, like, who cares? Like, you're never gonna catch up with everyone. There are people who will spend $50,000 on this game to, have a max level roster of everybody just for the hell of it, and because this can be mildly addicting because it's kind of gambling mechanics. Okay, I can't kill this guy because he's defying the laws of gravity. That's not cool. Can I shoot him? I can shoot him. Okay. Now he's just being mean. There we go. Now he's gonna drown. Well, that was surprisingly morbid. Okay. Like, you're never gonna catch anybody, and so this just isn't really a game that you need to compare yourself to with other people. So I highly recommend it, at least giving it a shot. Okay, I was trying to make a point, and I'm getting attacked by other fucking hill trolls now. Guys, you're killing me. I would absolutely, if you remotely think, anything you're seeing here or have seen in my coverage is interesting, and if you kind of trust my judgment on what I think is fun, I have had a lot of fun with this, and I don't think it is because I've spent money on the game, or because I have stuck with it for 4 months. I think I skipped at least a month and a half, so like I'm quote-unquote behind people who are doing it, the whole time. But again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect my enjoyment. So it's free. You can download it on PC or mobile or PlayStation. There's not crossplay between PlayStation and PC right now. I am not getting any commissions for this. It's just, this is my kind of downtime game in between when Destiny is releasing things and other major releases. And there is a big update coming next week, I think next Tuesday, which is its 1.3 update. Adds a new character, bunch of new stuff. And they do, the pace of content for this game is kind of amazing. There's events that give you essentially free materials just every week, more or less. And then there is a pretty substantive new content drop more or less every 5 weeks. And so there's always something to kind of come back to. And it is just enjoyable to play. It's just a fun game to play, and I can go through all the combat mechanics and stuff later, and I didn't touch on any of that here, but the point being is, to answer the question I started 20 minutes ago, no, I don't think it matters if you have not started the game yet. It is not that type of game, even though it kind of appears to be. It appears like it may have left you in the dust. That's not really how it works, and it's not really the case, so don't let that dissuade you. All right, I really hope I was recording my audio this whole time, and I didn't screw that up, so cross your fingers for me. I will be back to probably covering Destiny stuff as we get closer to reset here. And I don't know, maybe we'll get a Cyberpunk patch or something I can talk about, but we'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.